Welcome to It's UATL, your unscripted weekly dose of Black culture straight from the heart of Atlanta. I'm Nedra Roan, and I'm here with Naja Parker, Deasia Page, and Brooke Howard.
Hello, ladies.
Hey, girl.
So today we are talking about something that I think everyone in this room can probably relate to, and that's hair.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. More specifically, we are talking about toxic hair practices.
And you know, Nedra, these toxic hair practices are way more common than we hope. It makes me think of our colleagues at the AJC, Asia Simone Burns and Samantha Hogan, recently dropped a powerful piece called "Her Hair Was Perfectly Straight, Her Body Paid the Price." What a title.
What a title.
It follows all of these women who use chemical hair relaxers for years, and then they later develop cancers and reproductive health issues.
Mm-hmm. And now Georgia actually has the highest number of hair relaxer lawsuits outside of Illinois.
So as part of their reporting, Asia and Samantha talked to women on the street about their hair journeys. So let's take a listen.
Okay, so there's a song called "I Not My Hair" by India Ari, and that has literally defined my whole hair journey because hair is a beautiful accessory, but I'm not defined by how long it is or how curly it is. I'm defined by who I am on the inside.
Usually every summer I get my hair knotless because I like to go to the beach and pools and they stay better than scalp braids, and I like to get a color in my hair every summer.
I just got tired of sitting in a chair, having my scalp itch and burn and all of that.
One of the things that I will say that I had to consider is my profession. I am an attorney. I had to make sure that the way I wore my hair was going to be appropriate. I wanted to make sure that, say for instance, if I had a jury trial, that I wouldn't have people looking at my hair or judging my argument based on my hair. If someone who disagreed with my hair, we had one Black female judge. I waited until I saw her wear braids. And when she wore them, I said, oh, okay, it's okay for me to do it.
So what did you all think about hearing these women, what they said?
And how cute was that little girl?
She was adorable.
She said, and I get color. I was like, okay then.
Excuse me,
Period. Period. I mean, one immediate thought was just listening to how common it was to get perms and then to get them so early growing up. That's like the opposite of my experience because I was warned to not get them at all. And I also the woman who mentioned the India Ari song, which India does have some Atlanta ties, by the way. It made me think of the Salon song, too, Don't Touch My Hair.
Yeah.
So I like how, Black hair and, Black hair culture has infiltrated music as well.
Did you have any thoughts, Naja?
I related to every single woman, even the little girl, because I've been getting braids since I was a youngin', and I get braids as an adult. But the woman who was an attorney, she stood out to me because she talked about how, what is professional hair? What is a professional way to wear your hair? And when I first went natural in college, which reminded me of the other young lady we heard from, my mom was like, oh, what are you going to do when you try to get a job? You're going to wear your hair natural? Yes, I am. Straight hair is not professional hair. And I think she had a lot of unlearning to do.
Yeah.
And so did I, because I had those thoughts as well. So that's what stood out to me. What about you, Brooke?
I feel the same about the attorney. It made me think of how we as Black women, we have to be strategic with how we look on the outside. When I was acting as a kid and then in my early adulthood, that I was very, very conscious about how I wore my hair, what color my hair was. If I go to the audition with curly hair, if I go to the audition with straight hair, and that would dictate what sort of roles I would get. And I would see it a lot of times if I was auditioning for a role as a, quote, Black woman, then I would have to go in with my hair a very specific type of curly hair. And they would style it in weird ways and then complain if I complained about how they would do my hair. So yeah, that one, that hit home.
Yeah, for me, it was the lady who said, I got tired of sitting in a chair getting burns. And that was the total reason why I was like, what am I doing? You just get to a point where you're like, this can't be good.
Because I'm volunteering for pain.
Yes, I am submitting myself to pain, and for what? Well, unfortunately, it is not just relaxers that are the problem. Brooke, you did some very insightful reporting on that. Tell us a little bit more about it.
So there was a report that was done by Consumer Reports, and they found a bunch of toxins in 10 popular hair extension brands for braiding hair. And I contacted different hairstylists, to see how this was affecting their business. Are they going to change the way that they do things? Are they going to get different hair brands? How are their clients responding? And a number of them were like, yeah, we're freaking out. Like, not only are people wearing these hair brands that are potentially toxic, but I've been dealing with this. I've been braiding the hair. This has been on my fingers. One of the stylists, she even told me, like, remember the days when we used to burn the ends of the braiding hair? Like, think of the fumes that we were breathing in. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, we were actually, like, I thought back to my mom braiding my cousin's hair, like, oh, she was actually melting this. So it just makes you think, like, what is in the hair that we're braiding that we think is a protective hairstyle? And when in reality, we're actually ingesting it.
So it's so interesting because on the one hand, relaxers were supposed to give us this Eurocentric appeal. Braids would give us an Afrocentric appeal. So it doesn't matter what you choose, you're still going to end up with toxic hair, right? Something's going to fall apart on your head unless you just do nothing.
It's kind of discouraging because I've never had synthetic braids. I've always like braided my own hair, like cornrows to the back. I want to do the box braids, but one, I'm cheap, and I know how much does it typically cost these days?
Yeah, you probably starting at $250, $300.
Yeah, see, and now the whole, like, back in my day, I'm saying that as if I'm like, oh,
I know. I was
like
about to say
30.
yesterday,
but spiritually, I feel like I'm 45.
Yes.
But back in my day, a silk press used to be $40 to $50, and now I feel weird even paying. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, with the box, with getting braids, I'm like, I want them, and then now adding this, seeing that some of this it's toxic. It's like, okay, well, what do I do?
Like I said before, I've been getting braids since I was a young girl. I'm in braids today. So as you can see, I haven't made like a full decision on my stance when it comes to my hair. We're in limbo. So our guest today is going to help us unpack what's going on with our hair. Today we have Dr. Michelle Gaines. She is a chemistry professor at Spelman College, my alma mater.
Yay.
Hand clap of praise for that. And she's been conducting research into the structural components of curly hair and how it reacts to outside chemicals. So Dr. Gaines, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for being here.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Well, first of all, just tell us about your background and what got you started in the science of hair.
So what got me into the science of hair was, one, I always liked my hair as it was naturally. And societally, it was never okay for me to just wear my curls. And it was something that I didn't quite understand as a child, but, I just went with it. As I went through my schooling, I started to learn about materials and polymer materials. So that's what I did my graduate work in. And that's when I really started to think about it would be so interesting to study hair. Mm. And for one summer, I had some summer interns that we tried to develop a project because hair is fiber. So they're fiber science, basically. And polymers come in fibers also.
Wait, sorry, I'm slow. What's a polymer?
I was thinking, is it plastic?
So, yep, it is plastic. Yes. But, it comes in so many different forms. So any type of, really a plastic, any type of coating, kids' toys, for example, our plastic utensils, our plastic packaging, you name it. And then, of course, it's in our cosmetics also. Mm. And so that's one of the reasons why I came onto the team for the cosmetic science team, beyond the fact that I'm interested in studying hair, but also because of polymer materials. So as I was making those connections, I thought it would be interesting to study. And also, I knew how much time I spent doing my hair. And as
Let's talk about that.
Right?
Because this weekend, I'm taking down my braids, and that's going to be a 3-day process.
Oh, my goodness.
One sitting is not going to do it.
Yeah, so you have to dedicate your whole weekend to just taking down your braids. And that's not even washing it and putting another style in.
Exactly.
Which in itself is a long process, right? That we all, and then if you have daughters, then you got to do their hair too. And I noticed with my other male counterparts that mainly, were white or they, Caucasian. They had, wavy hair. They didn't have to do their hair. The time that they were spending doing their research and thinking about their research problems, there was more time to focus on that. And I had this big chunk of time that I had to think about my hair before I could even get to the other science that I'm supposed to be doing. And I thought, if only this could be a field that I could study. And being a material scientist, like you're looking at the properties of materials. And I thought, well, hair is a material and it is variable because you put something on it, it does something different. You put water on it, you see these curls pop out that you never even knew were there, which was like, that was eye-opening when I first started to go natural. And so then I was like, I have to study this.
So you had no intention initially of studying hair or working with hair. It was just materials that you were in.
It was just materials.
That's so interesting.
And mainly it was because I didn't know if it was like a recognized field. And also because it is so connected to industry. Throughout the years, cosmetic products have been developed by these industries. So any discoveries they've made have all been in-house and not known by the public. On top of it, though, there was still this mystery of like how these things are affecting us. I felt like I wanted to know.
Mm-hmm. I never thought about what you mentioned as far as losing time compared to your colleagues, just devoting to your hair, to caring for your hair and styling your hair and whatever. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I wonder how much time I've lost in my journalism career doing my hair.
That's why I get mad with men too. Like when they get upset, like, why are you late on this date? Because you didn't have to do nothing with your hair.
You didn't even have to think about it.
And you're going to talk about my hair depending on how it looks.
You are going to do that. And that's the other thing too, because I would notice, they would say certain things like they'd like this style versus another, and you might have put everything you had into
no appreciation.
Yes. Or I got my hair done fresh and then, everybody notices. Because normally, like the groups that I was working in, I might have been the only female, let alone Black female.
Well, I was going to ask about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was definite. So none of the, it looked as though I wasn't on top of my job in a way, or I felt that way. Because as I walk in, with my hairstyle, they've been in the lab all morning. But today I decided to get my hair done. There's a perception that happens.
Did they ever critique your hair? And not just noticing like, oh, hey, yeah, you've got it done. But did they ever just give you unsolicited opinions about?
Sometimes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What'd you hear?
It looks so good today.
Oh, today?
Yeah.
Shade.
Yeah, I heard that. And then less me, but I would say more even like my mom's generation, they had to look a certain way. So they weren't allowed, like braids weren't even allowed back then. I mean, the stories go on and on.
What are some of the things that you hope to achieve with your research? How do you want to apply it? Because I think we were talking earlier and it's like you have science.
Yes.
And, the learning of science, and then you have the application of science. So how do you hope to apply your research?
Right. Because right now, what I'm looking at is kind of like the most basic fundamentals of hair and like why it curls or why there's a kink to it, just within one fiber. But then you think about, well, now collectively, they respond a certain way. And then you put product on it and they respond a different way. The idea is to understand like what drives those changes and then understand how when we add certain things, like how to hydrate it, how does porosity really work. Yes.
The thing that surprised me the most was when you talked about in one single strand of hair having multiple different types of material. Like one strand of hair can be. And that I know it on some level intellectually because, I know my hair, but you don't think about that because it's almost like, do you have to use two different types of products on one strand of hair? Who knows, right?
Right.
So these are some of the things that you're looking into. Is there anything in your research that you felt was really surprising to you?
In the research that I've done so far, we did a small study. So we took hair from volunteers. It was probably only like 15 of them. The less complex the actual structure is on the outside, the less complex it is in terms of like characterizing it and then like looking at the expected behavior. As we got more curly, as we got kinks where you have different geometries, then you got a lot more variation. And it got much more difficult to like predict. And so what we found is that the beauty care industry, they know that, but they're also kind of sticking with what they really know and what they can really characterize well. It is sometimes assumed that hair is hair when we know.
That's how we end up with all the products that don't work.
Yeah.
Because we believe the marketing.
And we don't know what's in them, and we don't know what they necessarily do. Yeah. And we also don't know what the long-term effects are. I know relaxers is definitely a conversation piece as well. Those that used to relax their hair did it for decades or still do. Mm-hmm. And when you keep putting the same thing on, there may be lasting effects, although there isn't any research yet there's some, but there's not very much that's like proved that it's had some sort of specific health effects related to it.
Yeah.
But people truly suspect it, I know.
When we come back, we'll discuss Dr. Gaines' personal hair journey and what we can do to keep ourselves safe. I'm Naja Parker, one of the hosts for It's UATL, and the AJC just dropped its 2025 Dining Guide. Top critics Lagaya Figueres and Henry Hollis have spent months scouring the Atlanta metro area to pick out the 50 best restaurants. And we're talking real quality, not just what's trending or what you see on Instagram. But here's the thing. This guide is a subscriber-only exclusive. So if you want to make sure you're hitting up the top spots the next time you go out, head to ajc.com/Atlanta50 and get the full list.
What is your own experience with different hair practices like relaxers or braids? I see you have twists today.
They look great.
They look great, yes.
Yes, I got those done also recently. And so I decided to go natural when I had my daughter. Before that, I was doing relaxers. And
how long had you been relaxing your hair?
15 years, something like that. That sounds about right. Mm-hmm. I tried it first as a kid at like age 9 or something like that. And my hair fell out.
Ooh,
wow. Or it started to shed. There was just like a lot of shedding. And so
after just one time or after a few times?
A few times, probably like with a couple of months.
Wow.
That's still pretty soon.
It was still, pretty quick. And so the stylist said, well, maybe her hair isn't ready for it. And so, right. What does that mean?
It's not ready. The hair's not ready yet.
It's not ready. It needs more time. I don't know what.
It's not mature enough yet? Like, what? Okay.
I don't know what.
That's fine.
But then tried it again. So I did it, all through high school and all through college. And, I was just always trying to get ready for getting the touch up. It was always like, don't scratch your
white girl Pat.
Yes. Just that experience tells me like there's something chemical happening and it feels very adverse.
Right.
Did you experience the chemical burns and the
it's like doing a science project on your hair, basically. That's what it sounds like.
Realistically, that's what we do. Mm-hmm. We don't even realize that we do a science project every time we do it. And even for me, that's why I try to keep it really simple. Yeah. Just stay natural, get it braided, maybe go to like a salon that does just natural hair. Once in a while, I'll flat iron it, but also the heat damage I found. Yes. You have to wait for that to grow out.
I gotta say, I felt a little discouraged. Everything you named, it was like a but.
Do this, but.
You're right. And it is kind of like that. And also you could relax your hair, but you don't want to color it too. But people do both,
Look,
right?
let me hide my hair right now. It's blonde all of my hair.
I mean, but you should be free to wear your hair the way that you want to, the way that you desire. Yeah. And it hopefully will give you, it wouldn't be a detriment to your health. And you want to feel comfortable. And really, you want to be able to afford it too. That'd be nice too, right?
Yes.
I wonder what your thoughts are about some of the lawsuits that we're seeing right now with relaxer companies, because as you said, I think we've all experienced, that moment, if you had a relaxer where you felt your scalp burning. And I think many of the women who have filed lawsuits against the relaxer companies, charging them with, issues related to their health, they experience that too, right? We felt it. So what are your thoughts on just, what's happening now with these lawsuits, how it took us so long to get to this point when we knew when we were, 10, 11, 12, something's not really right here.
I think some of it is a mixture of like the natural hair movement that came about and people realizing that there is an alternative. But then also over time, everything that we're exposed to, like we're exposed to so many more things over the years as time continues to go and as society continues to build more and more materials or more products. I mean, yourself. When something feels off. We don't have like scientific research yet to say like, yes, relaxers are contributing to these adverse effects. I personally think that it's a compounded thing. And if you're doing that for 20 years, it's going to leach into your skin. And also, if you think about it, you're putting it on your scalp. And what's underneath our scalp? Like the most important organ, right? Our brain. So, but there's been a few studies where they're trying to start looking at like, what are the long-term effects of relaxers? There just needs to be a lot more so that we can say definitively, like, yes, there is something happening.
But it hasn't been just relaxers, too. There have been issues with people coming in contact with toxic braids, the synthetic braiding hair.
Yes.
That's how I came to know you. You were speaking on a panel about the synthetic hair, where you also mentioned there can be health issues with human hair as well. Do you mind speaking on the toxic braids and how that's affecting people?
One of the things about like the material itself of the added hair is a plastic. And it's not something you want to like eat, for example. It would be something that it's made out of like I think maybe piping and stuff like that, like other materials. So it's made into fibers. I know that sounds a little unsettling.
Piping. Got some pipe in your hair.
So once you get to the raw materials that, it's not alive, it's organic. And then also it's coated with things so that the bacteria doesn't, settle in. And so they're helping in terms of that. But then you put that on your scalp. And if it's sitting on your scalp, you might get a reaction. I know for me, there was one of the times I got some added hair put in and I almost took it out that day because it was just itching so bad.
But see, again, I feel like that's when people say, "Oh, it's just too tight," and they do that, but really, and they'll have like a red ring around their foreheads.
Yes.
Like, I don't think it's because it's too tight.
Right.
There's more to it.
Yeah,
Like your body is signifying, like, no,
it's rebelling against it. Yeah,
this is something that it wants to reject. Right. For human hair, it is a better alternative for sure because you get less of the coatings, I believe, but it's still treated in some sort of way. It has to be treated before it can reach the market. So there was a group, and I can't remember the name, but they make added hair out of banana leaves.
Brooke told us about this.
Yes.
banana fibers.
I'm still wild for me to hear that.
Yeah.
But
It's very cool. So she visited Spelman, the one, the CEO, I think her name is Imani, and I can't remember her last name, but and she's young too. I think she's in her 20s.
Wow.
And so she developed a company around creating added hair that is made out of a natural material.
Now, when we say banana fiber, do we mean the strands? Like if you peel your banana,
I'm glad you asked.
what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Right. Or what are we talking about? The peel? What is it?
The Chiquita?
It's the leaves, banana leaves on the trees. So,
on the tree.
On the
so
trees.
it's not the fruit.
Not the fruit.
Okay. I was so confused.
Yeah, and I don't know what I said.
No, it's us.
You were
It's
thinking about
us.
something
Okay.
totally different.
Because you say banana, you think the fruit. Of course,
Right.
something I
Yeah,
eat,
I was thinking like, the little part that
Right.
peels off. And I'm like, how do you turn that into hair?
Yeah.
But, okay. From the leaves.
Yeah.
From
This
the
makes
leaves.
way more sense
No, it
than what we were
does. Because at
thinking.
first I was like, that's wild for me to hear that. But now I'm like, oh, it's just something totally different.
Mhm.
So
Something that has some integrity enough to to
Yes.
process it into some fibers.
Wow.
And also, since it's a natural material, because another thing about added hair, like you feel like, oh, it's a protective style. I'm good. I'm going to grow my hair out.
Then there's that butt.
I know the butt's coming. I'm sorry. We're finding that it's also drying out the hair. And it's just because it's just a different material. That's all. And water, it likes to leave. It's hard to keep it in. It's hard to seal it in. That's why we try to seal it in with something like an oil a lot of times. But eventually it's going to evaporate. And so over time, it's in the braids. So it's being protected in a way because it's not being manipulated regularly. The more manipulation with curly hair, the more possibility for breakage. And the reason why there is breakage...
Deja, what are you doing? You're just going to put your hair in a bun right now.
But it's still so cute. Because at the end of the day, we want to feel cute. We want to feel good about ourselves. We want to feel good about how we're being presented. I know sometimes it's like, yeah, but maybe it's not, it's not always healthy.
That's the frustrating part too. We've had this conversation about we can do this, but why does it seem like Black women are more affected by toxic products, toxic hair, toxic practices.
That's a good
I
question.
feel like we are constantly experiencing frustration in a way that other ethnicities are not.
First, it's that because our hair is so complex, like all the kinkiness and curliness and the very tight coils is so complex, there requires more steps in order to make it look the way that you want it, the end product. And so because there's more steps, that means there's more products. You have more products, then that's why we would be more susceptible, just in that regard. I don't think anybody's out to get us.
Well,
I hope not.
Yeah. But it is interesting because, over the past few years, there's been like this influx of like Black women celebrities stepping into the hair care space. Like, Beyonce and Rihanna Beyonce dropped Sacred and then Rihanna dropped Fenty Hair. And Tracee Ellis Ross has Pattern. Gabrielle Union. Yeah. Gabrielle Union has her own hair care line as well.
Taraji.
Yeah.
What do you think about sort of the influx of all these? And is this like part of the solution too, in a way?
Or is it some slick marketing?
Right, exactly. So I'm like, are you getting a lot of money from this? Or like, is this a cash grab too?
I personally think that it's like the celebrity is experiencing what we have all experienced, which is what products should we select so we can make our hair look the way we want it to look. And then having them as a celebrity, like to be the spokesperson, obviously is pretty effective. The thing is, we all have, our hair is like a fingerprint, really, because it's different. There's so much complexity and difference from root to tip or from like one part of your scalp to another part of your scalp, right? That's why a lot of times it's not just a one-stop shop or like a just follow these rules. You're going to get what you're looking for. Some people might, a lot of people might not. And so it's still kind of a trial and error, which is why it's so important to study. If we understood really how it behaved fundamentally better, then we could prescribe at least some ingredients. So people ask me, like, do you want to have your own line? I'm not saying that yet, now.
I like that you said
Yeah.
We'll be waiting.
Right. But I still am more in the discovery phase. I really want to just understand the nuances of our hair. I could help others to develop their products. That would be a really fun thing to do, especially since, I'm at Spelman College.
Yes.
And it's
what a great place to be.
It is it's a great place to be to study this idea or these because they think about it too every day.
Yeah.
But having a Black woman scientist behind hair care products sounds so enticing because otherwise we have people who are selling products that they made in their kitchen that worked for their hair.
Yes.
Or someone else who's, this is what they say works, and then they put their name on it, like what Deasia was saying. So
Yes.
I don't know, having a scientist actually behind it, like, no, this would work specifically for your hair texture, your hair type, your, what did you say, the fiber of the specific fiber type of the hair. That sounds so much more enticing. Like if somebody were to tell me, hey, your hair lifts up when you wash it, this is the type of shampoo you need when it's lifted, I would be so much more interested in buying that specific shampoo, then let me trial and error all 62 of these on the shelves.
So true. And also just knowing that like historically and being around at the beauty care industry, people do not look like us that are developing these products. Now there's a lot more of it, but it's still the person at the top, they still don't look like us. So they are still kind of looking at it from a lens of, well, this is for this other group of people in this other industry. Not intentionally, but it has been portrayed that the curlier your hair is, the less like unkept it is or harder to do. So it's more of a problem instead of like a condition.
What do you think are some of the things that Black women specifically can do to avoid, as you said, this accumulation of toxins over time, whether it's if you decide to relax your hair or if you're wearing extensions or in your makeup, because we know that's an issue too, or your personal care products. Like, how can we think about over time, these are some things I should do to minimize this accumulation of toxins in my body?
That's a really good question that I don't know if I have a direct, quick answer for beyond paying attention to what ingredients are there. The thing is, though, you can do that. But we're finding that there's other things that are snuck in some way, or how it's manufactured, or how it's packaged. You know, I'm kind of like, I don't completely know. Yeah. It's almost like, you know, I'm going to go still eat fast food sometimes. But the thing is, I'm not going to eat fast food every day.
Yeah.
But you might put these things on your hair every day. And so then it could affect, well, we're finding out that it might affect you later in some sort of way.
And Nedra, I have to give you credit because you will read the ingredients.
I do read the ingredients. I don't know what they say all the time, but I read them. Yeah. Yes, I do. I try to look for things that just like food, you know, I figure if I know the vast majority of ingredients in something, then it's probably okay. Yeah. If it starts to get into terms that I've never heard of, I put it back on the shelf.
I need to get like you.
So one question that we always love to ask our guests, how are you so ATL?
I think I'm so Atlanta just by working at Spelman College, honestly. Being at Spelman, it is such a place. First of all, Atlanta is so different because it is so diverse and there are so many different Black people, not just American. You have a huge international population. Like having that diversity, you can learn a lot from people. We get good food, right? So that's great. So the students that I teach, the population of students, they're from all areas of the African diaspora. And so like that is so different from the rest of the world and wherever else I've been. That's why I'm so Atlanta.
I love it. I love it. Well, we appreciate your time. Let us know when your hair, Caroline, drops.
We'll be waiting for that to hit shelves
Rihanna,
tomorrow,
if you're
please.
listening, one of these celebrities, we have a Black female scientist.
I can work with you.
Yes.
You know? Absolutely.
It just sounds too much like right to have a Black woman scientist developing
For sure.
Black women hair care products. Duh. Right?
Yeah, duh.
So, of course, we want to hear your take. What's the craziest story you have about getting your hair done? Use your phone's voice recorder to send us a response on Instagram at It's UATL or email us at uatl@ajc.com. And don't forget to add your age, your name, and where you're from.
Thanks so much for listening to It's UATL.
UATL is a source for Black culture and community in Atlanta. It's powered by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and our supporters. If you're enjoying this podcast, join us as a UATL paid supporter at uatl.com.
And if you like the episode, please follow us and leave us a rating and a review. It really helps. See you next week.